I want to talk about why you must become yourself and why it is important. It is your birthright to become who you want to be or who you are meant to be. You know, you can wander through life, people telling you have no purpose, you have no value, you are just useless to the society. One thing I'm gonna tell you is you are going through a phase of figuring yourself out. You know, because when we grow up or when we start to develop, we don't all develop at the same time. Some people capture themselves, some people come to realization themselves at the early stages to say, I want to do this, I want to be that kind of a person, I want to do that and that, you know. But for those who feel lost at point in time, they end up wanting to do what other people are doing because they be trying to fit in, because they fear the word useless, you know. And it is important to become yourself. It's because the world needs people who are authentic. The world needs people who are willing to be themselves, become who they are meant to be. That's what we need right now. You know, I feel like everyone keeps doing the same thing, you know. We want something new. We want something that we've never seen. We want something that may strike our hearts and shock our souls. You know, if all we do is imitate and follow each other, we ain't getting anywhere. You know, I need people who can articulate certain things within a matter of seconds, when I'm still taking a couple of days just to break it down. I understand? It's because we're filling in the gaps of each other's lives. We are building something. So it's all about building something here. But if all we do is do the same thing, we ain't filling any gap, we ain't going anywhere, we ain't getting anywhere. You know, it is important to become yourself. Learn yourself, like understand yourself, like sit down with yourself, try and understand who you are and where you are going, because the present moment is the only one that can give you the answer. Being here right now, being where you are, and being able to sit down with yourself and question, who am I really? That's when you have the answer. There's no other time. Not the past and not the future will tell you, but today, the present. And becoming yourself, it's really hard in a society full of people who are imitating each other. You will be looked down upon. People will feel like you're making yourself better than them. And all you wanted to do is to be honest and authentic. You are trying to fill in the gap that hasn't been filled in many years through past generations. You know, certain people feel like they come from a certain bloodline, they therefore have to do certain things because the bloodline has, you know, transcended through that part of whatever ritual or whatever it may be. So then you must also do it. Do something new, man. You know, do something new. And doing something new means they will oppose it. They will oppose you. You would be seen as an enemy. And it's worth it for the peace of yourself, for the freedom of your mind. You know, we must focus on becoming ourselves more, rather than acting like you already know who we are. You know, there's this, I think it's this Japanese theory, the three-phase theory, that goes that there's a phase that you have when you are out socializing with other people. So there's that phase that you portray, and there's this second phase that you portray when you're around your family and friends, like close people, right? And the third phase is the one that you know yourself, when you are alone. That's the real you. And some people might not know, because people fear being with themselves. Why, I really don't know, because it's not like something tragical can happen, you know. But the third phase is the one that we need, is the one that you need to discover, is the one that you need to understand more than the other phases. The other phases are just there. They're just there. They're just, I don't know how to put it, but they're there to fill in the gaps for when you need to communicate with people and you need to socialize and whatsoever. They are just there. But the real phase is the one that when you are sitting with yourself and looking at yourself at a third point perspective, and you be like, this person, you are this kind of a person, I'm this kind of a person, I think this way, I behave this way, I act this way, you know, when I'm around myself. If you are able to see your third phase, it means you can wrap around what your mind is constantly on about. You would find answers to your own mysteries. You would find answers to your own secrets and whatsoever that you thought you knew, but you never knew. You can crack the whole universe. You can answer questions that you've been asking yourself all these generations and whatever, years and months. That's when you would have cracked the real code, you know. And I think I did mention this, that people need to learn to stick to their own ideas, be willing to risk into their own ideas. And that would mean you're gonna have to go through failure many times, because you are constantly being tested. And who's testing you? It's you yourself. You are testing yourself. There is no other person testing you but yourself. You are constantly testing yourself to see if you are willing to reach the potential you, the higher you. You know. So there is constant failure, but then and then there's transition into winning, there's transition into achieving, there's transition into executing certain goals without doing too much. You know. You think these gurus became gurus because they just woke up and had this knowledge? No. They went through a transition, man. You know, they went through a transition whereby they've been beaten up, and they had to sit still and say, I'm not gonna react, I'm not gonna do anything. They've been beaten up, they've been called words. You know, they've been shied away by their own families, by their own friends, by the society, until they understood what is it like to be a guru. Then that's when the bulb hit them. That's enlightenment right there. They were enlightened. But people think that when you start learning certain things, it's just a short transition. Like I learn this tomorrow, I get to that point. Some people think manifestation works like that. It doesn't work like that. You know. Everything is consistency. The universe loves consistency, people. It's like a rhythm. You know, when you're listening to a beat and it's not consistent, it doesn't match. It doesn't answer to a song. You know, it doesn't give you a whole perspective of where the song is going. Just like the universe. If you put in the work of being consistent with who you are, the universe can respond to you. It's because it understands who you are already. If you what I'm saying, you know, consistency is what you need. It's like a rhythm. It's like frequencies. You know, like I said, you are just energy. You are just energy dispersing it. You know, you're constantly dispersing energy. But if you're dispersing energy into many directions, you can never know yourself. You must focus your energy on one single thing, like a magnifying glass. You know, it must be a perfect shot into where you are going. Magnify your energy into one single point with enough consistency, not too much, but with enough consistency, you can get where you want to be. You can get there. You can get to know yourself. Right now, I'm focusing on knowing myself, understanding myself. The reason I'm doing these videos is because later on, I'd want to rewatch them. You know, I cannot all save them on my USB drives. You know, I'd want to watch them later on YouTube when I'm whatever years old, to recall what kind of person I am, or in case later on I get lost, you know, I get thrown off by money and fame and whatever, I can go back to my videos, you know, and still magnify my energy into that one single point. So consistency of knowing yourself, put in the work of knowing yourself, it's better than rather than doing many things. Sometimes all you gotta do is gather up your energy and keep it to yourself. If you don't know how to use it, or if you don't know where you're going to use it, you know, strive to know yourself. You know, you must strive, and there are sacrifices in knowing yourself, people. There are big sacrifices you must make. At some point, you're gonna have to leave your friends out. You're gonna have to leave your family out to know yourself. You know, it's a big sacrifice. You're gonna have to leave your girlfriend or your boyfriend. You know, like on the Greek mythology did say that Odin traded his eye for knowledge, meaning that he sacrificed his part of being to acquire knowledge. Same as you. If you are seeking divine wisdom, there's a part of you that you have to sacrifice. You have to give out to the universe. You know, Abraham did the same thing. God asked him to sacrifice his son, and Abraham was willing to. Same as you. Are you willing? Now the question is, are you willing to sacrifice to know the better you? It's because some part, the old you must leave out. You must sacrifice the old you to know the higher you. Because the old you is keeping you distracted, is keeping you in this loop, is keeping you obstructed from seeing the higher self, the true self. Not the future self, but the true self. But because the reason I say the true self and not the future self, it is possible to become the future self of the old frequency while you're still in the old frequency, or while you're still being the old you, having the same old thoughts that are keeping you distracted from seeing the true you. You know, you need to know your true self. I think knowing your true self is the answer to everything. When you know yourself, when you know what you're capable of, when you know your abilities and your powers, no one can question your authority. That's when you've become your own king. No one has a right to question your authority. You know, you stand on your own business. People cannot question who you are or why are you doing what you are doing. It's because they already know that you already know yourself. We have to shift our mind. It's not about knowing the tomorrow you. It's not about manifesting the tomorrow you. It's about manifesting the true you, the true self, the higher self. The one that is above pride, sloth, greediness. The one is above emotions. The one is above material world. The one is above everything. You know, that when you are at the higher self, you are at a point where now no one can obstruct you. Not even little things can obstruct you, because you would have simply understood that certain things must come and must go away. It's a law of exchange. But like I said, the minute you start knowing yourself and go through the journey of knowing yourself, it's hard, bro. I don't want to compare you, but it's hard. It's not easy. And the reason I'm saying it's hard is because I have to be honest. I'm not trying to make anyone shy away from being themselves, but it is hard. It's because you have to constantly test yourself of being the true you, to see if you are ready to be the true you. You know, that's all I'm gonna say.